Hi, my name is Orlando Soto and I will be demoing my ArangoDB Devpost project. Now I use the Syntheia P100 dataset. We're going to see here the graph visualization of the dataset. It's patients, their medications, procedures, devices, and everything having to do with healthcare. Now this is the code, as you can see. I split the tools into one that would be a straight Arango query. So this would be a simple lookups and whatnot would use this portion of the code. I'm using ChatGPT 4.0 as the backend. It uses the AQL and simply returns that result. If it's a more complex query, let's say if it's a traversal shortest path of those queries, then it's going to call this portion of the code the NetworkRX code. The prompt was very specific that if it's a simple call, then it should use the AQL. These would be much more difficult calls. It's one of the algorithms, and it's going to use that. Now, what I did, I used the template that was given, and I added 3 retries to the Python code. So if I get an error, I tell ChatGPT that there was an error with the code. Please try it again, and then we attempt it up to 3 times. If it fails, then I tell the user, hey, I couldn't get the answer. But usually that works. Now this is the interesting one. They use both. Now what this one does, if it's a simple query and then let's say one of the shortest path queries, that we can actually use both AQL and NetworkRX. And what I do, I get 4 different variables. One is which of the tools will be used first and if they're dependent on each other. And if they are, then I use the results from the first one to feed the second one. If not, then they're just 2 separate ones. So I don't need to use the result from the first one to use feed to the second one. So they're independent. Um, the last tool would be the non-apply. This is if the user asks something like, is the sky blue? That has nothing to do with the data set, and that's the tool that would be used. Um, the rest of the code is just the simple prompt to actually pick the right tool depending on what the user is asking for. I used Gradio, just like the sample code. Actually do it. Yeah, there's a demonstration of what the tool can do. Right now it's running. I have some queries that I typed into the system. The first one is what color is the sky? I submit it. And then the tool that was used was the non-apply because it has nothing to do with the data set. Now, how many patients are there? This one is going to use the AQL because it's a straightforward query. So it's just going to ask for the length of the patient's data set. So it's 124. The most common type of allergy, give me its description, submit it. Again, you can see it in the output here. It's going to use AQL, and it's just a simple query to figure out which is the most common type of allergy. Now, this one's a more complex one. I want the shortest path between 2 patients, and I only want the amount of nodes. So in this one, you can see that it's using NetworkX. It prints out the Python code that it's running. It's running it behind the scenes. This one does take a little longer to execute. And it tells us that there are 5 nodes in between the shortest path between one patient and this other patient. And we ask it again, this time to show all the nodes. So again, it's going to use NetworkX, I'm sorry. and it shows the nodes that were used, that were found in the shortest path. Now for this query, um, we don't want the shortest path. We're just asking it for the shortest path, but then we ask for the total patients. Um, in some cases, it uses both uh, NetworkX, I'm sorry, and AQL. In this case, it went straight with NetworkX. So since the ChatGPT, it does have that variable temperature, and sometimes it picks one, sometimes it'll pick the other. But it's something that the project can do, differentiate between one and the other, and then select the one that is most appropriate for the type of query that we're looking for. Well, this project was really interesting. I learned a lot. I learned about ArangoDB. I learned a lot about healthcare, the Synthea P100 dataset, which is really interesting. And you can see how AI can definitely help uh, these healthcare providers to actually come up with meaningful insight to their data and actually help the patients out and see different ways to help them out to visualize this information and help the patients live longer and have healthier lifestyles. So that's something that AI can help do, and it was really interesting to actually see it in real time with this data. Um, Thank you.